the two things that I did not like about Trump's address, well, actually, I didn't like, the one thing I didn't like was that it was so early because he's going to get hamstrung by all the FEC stuff. But I do wish that he would have spent a little more time on talking about those gains that the party since 2016 has made with minority voters. And I know he did touch on some of it, but it is such, and blue collar, it is such an underreported story that I think it deserved he spoke for an hour. I think it deserved more than a couple of minutes, because that is where they go. That is what, people are like, that's an everyman. No one can say that. So I think that's incredibly important. Now, as far as, McConnell and all of that, I think that was the right answer for him. Some people might not think it is. I would be mad if he said, well, here's what I think. I don't care what you think. You are the Senate leader. Remember what I've said about these politicians. They're vessels for what? Your vote. I don't care who they're endorsing. I really don't. I don't care who McConnell endorses. They are vessels for your vote. The one thing that I don't like that Trump said yesterday, because overall, I thought it was a decent speech. Some of actually his fans were saying that it was low energy. I think it was just because it was so packed full of stuff. He was like he was playing the hits. He was like going over.
Yeah, he was trying to be presidential.
Yeah, I don't think it was low energy. So I don't think that was necessarily the right take that some people had on it. I don't know. Do we have?
I think
okay, we do. Okay, audio soundbite 3. This is the only thing that I strongly oppose, and I'll explain. Listen.
To drain the swamp, I will push for a constitutional amendment to impose term limits on members of Congress. It's time.
Now, that's all I need. So that is what I had an issue with, and here's why. I agree with the Federalists on this. I agree with the James Madisons. I agree, the Federalist Papers. There's so much on this. I agree with what the founders wrote in the Federalist Papers, 1,000%. I think, Federalist 52, I'm trying to remember all of them, because all of them touch on that. I agree with Madison. I agree with Adams. I agree, Madison specifically, I think he wrote a lot about this. Term limits, that is the voters' vote. Why do you want to give something else to D.C.? I think it's a big government response to citizen apathy. I think term limits, I am so against term limits, it is insane, because it is the voters' responsibility. This is what Republicans do. When Republicans decide they don't want to fight an issue anymore, they're like, well, let's go ahead and have the government do it. Like Defense of Marriage Act. This is the same basis on why I was against that. Well, we're tired of trying to change hearts and minds. Let's have the government do it. Again, government authority is like the One Ring from Lord of the Rings. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. It does not matter who is in possession of it. Just because the possession changes does not mean that the use of it changes. It is still big government. It is still expanding government. Giving away the voters' authority to the government is an abdication of citizen duty. It is a failure of the citizenry. It is an affront to the Constitution, and it is an affront to the founders' intent for how voters should have responsibility and dominion over their elected officials. That is why I'm against term limits. I know some people disagree with that, and that's fine. I just have a very harsh view of it, because I think that it is, term limits are lazy. Get out there and change hearts and minds. I don't believe enough people have. When I saw the voter turnout, we went over that, was it yesterday, day before? Oh, I sure as hell know people, if they ain't turning out, they definitely ain't block walking. People don't realize how important electioneering is. That's the thing that changes hearts and minds. Anna Paulina Luna is the perfect example of this. That lady, she's a friend of mine. She had a historic flip in her district in Florida. She was shut out of all the airwaves. She couldn't buy ad time. You know what she did? She made up for it with hands and feet. She made up for it by hitting the pavement, by going and knocking on all the doors, by calling everybody, texting everybody, getting out the vote. And she made up for that shortfall. When you have people like that, and when you have engaged voters like that, you don't need the government determining how long someone can hold office and how long they can't. I encourage everyone to read the Federalist Papers on this and be actually informed before having a conclusion. Because this is absolutely giving more power to the government. It is a big government, anti-conservative position. I am staunchly against it. Now, it's not enough to make someone my enemy, but I'm against it because I think that this is one of our civil rights. Now, I obviously have a much harsher reaction when it's a natural right, as affirmed by the Constitution, like Second Amendment, free speech, etc. But this is not something we should cede to the government. So people need to read the Federalist Papers on this. Absolutely. It should be a requirement before entering the debate so you are fully informed of both sides. Because this is, I think it's giving up a responsibility.